you're gonna look great. But if you wanna stay in shape, well, you better. GymWits, GymWits.
That's right, man. You tell 'em.
Welcome to the GymWits podcast. I'm Ryan George.
I'm Justin Guild, a.k.a. Chef Sonic.
And I'm Tony Marinucci, a.k.a. Tips with Tony, your registered dietitian.
And we are the GymWits.
So, just got back from Nashville. Recently, I was recording a few songs with an artist I work with. And man, they're really good down there. For any of our listeners that are into music and have ever played an instrument or have ever recorded or had a band or anything like that, it's pretty cool what they do down there. Basically, you can give them a song. You could just sing something. Let's say you don't know anything about music, you can sing a melody or whatnot. And the head producer down there will basically make a song out of it, and there's a full band, and they'll basically have the song done in 45 minutes, and it'll sound like a major label recording.
Really?
Basically, it'll go from nothing to almost a finished product. They're just very good at doing it. They have it down to a science, so it's pretty cool. Like, Ryan, you've been in bands before. You know how long it takes to rehearse one song.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Right, and they just have it done. Granted, everything they do sounds the same for the most part, but they're very good at what they do.
That's
so
cool.
it's pretty cool.
I'll be in Nashville most likely in October.
Why?
I can't talk about that right now.
Why can't you talk about
Can't
it?
talk about that.
Is it something that
No,
is secretive?
Yeah.
Is it a big deal? It's a big deal.
Potentially
Isn't
a
it?
big deal.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
All right. Let's
So
change the subject.
so say you do go somewhere that's not here to various places.
Yeah.
Right. What are you going to do about your diet and eating? It's not so easy to eat when you're traveling around a lot. When I was down in Nashville, they had
This presents some very interesting diet issues for reasons that I can't disclose.
Okay.
But yeah, this makes for a good discussion once it's a done deal. I can talk about why it'll be problematic eating wise.
Okay.
But let's.
Justin,
how are you doing, Tony?
Yeah, seriously, Justin. We're really proud of Ryan, but we don't want to jinx an opportunity, and we're not allowed to disclose anything. So we will update you when the time presents itself. But right now, we're gonna switch topics.
Yeah.
Who did we interview? What's going on?
Okay, so we interviewed a good friend of mine. Her name is Seaman, and she is a yoga instructor, an expert. She's also a massage therapist. She does everything. She's really awesome and has a ton of great knowledge, and we guys hope you enjoy the interview with Crystal. Hey everyone, we are here with Crystal Seaman. How's everything, Crystal?
It's good.
Nice. So, for everyone out there, Crystal is a incredible massage therapist. She's also a vinyasa yoga expert, and she's worked on me before, and she's done some incredible work. And so, thank you for coming on the GymWits.
Oh, well, thank you for inviting me.
Sure, I think that our listeners are going to get quite a bit out of this. So the first question we always ask is about your fitness background. How'd you get started?
Oh, how did I get started? I've always enjoyed moving, even throughout high school. All of my physical education electives involved weightlifting, yoga, wrestling, like anything that involved moving. When I became a massage therapist, I was also I had also had both of my children throughout school, and my body had really become run down. And so I just started getting a lot more into what proper body mechanics to use, what proper things to eat, how to kind of keep myself from hurting myself pretty much. And so that just really led me to have like this immense passion for physical fitness. I've done personal training certification. I'm actually in the midst of redoing that. I had taken a break for a few years. I did yoga instructor certification. I've done different types of certifications when it comes to fitness, punk rope, which involves jump roping, intervals with calisthenic workouts. I've even done Zumba instructor training. I just love having my hand in a little bit of everything.
It sounds a lot like me, like kind of my background, minus like the dance stuff. I just kind of like, I've never satisfied with fitness. I'm always trying to try something new or learn some new kind of modality. So the first question I have is, as somebody who's not a big yoga person, I know plenty of people who are interested but don't quite know what to expect. Can you kind of like demystify yoga for us? Like give us an idea of like what it is, why it's useful, and yeah, just kind of demystify it a bit for us.
So yoga, the word yoga translates to the word union. So you're trying to unify body, mind, and spirit as well. There are different aspects to yoga. A lot of the times when people think yoga, they think of the poses, which are what we call asanas. But that's really just one aspect. And then there's also the breath work that's involved, and different breathing exercises called pranayama. And then also different meditations. There's even an aspect that's called mudras, where you put your fingers and hands in certain positions to try and facilitate certain intentions. But yoga can involve any one or any combination of these different cues.
So I think a lot of people might be wondering, what yoga should I start with? If I'm just getting into it, is there a type that's good for a beginner? And I guess conversely, if you've been doing sort of your standard gym yoga and you want to take it to the next level, what would you approach doing?
So for beginners, I always say to start off with Iyengar. Iyengar is more focused on holding the poses and having proper alignment within the poses, which I feel is so important. It's definitely great for injury prevention. Some of the times people think that when you're doing yoga, you're trying to like push into the stretch as deeply as you can, and it's not always like that. You do want to maintain some form of muscle contraction, so you're not overstretching the ligaments and not going to hurt yourself. So I always say to start with Iyengar, but there's also a lot of places in New York City that do introductory yoga courses, which has the same idea, making sure that people understand proper alignment and where their bodies are supposed to be in these poses and these asanas. Taking it to the next level, there's different levels of vinyasa, which I feel is super great because you really, really become immersed in the practice because you are constantly in a position, just even moving from one position to the next, you're focusing on your breath work. And there's different levels to that. They have power vinyasa, hot vinyasa, slow flow, faster versions. And Bikram is also a really nice, I think, because it's a very specific sequence of poses. And so you really get a lot of practice doing the same poses until you can like really get into them, maybe learn some binds, which would involve you kind of hooking your arms around here and there instead of keeping them straight out. But it's just so much fun. I love everything about yoga.
I love yoga as well. I definitely don't think that I do it enough. So could you explain, like, should it be done with other things? Should it be your main source of workout? Like, where do you feel like it's useful for someone to start incorporating it?
it really depends on what you want from your workout. Yoga is really good for toning and gaining flexibility. And if you do say power vinyasa or one of the speedier classes, you do gain a bit of muscle tone and endurance. But if you want to do more, say, strength training, I feel yoga would be a really good supplement to keep your range of motion, which is what we're here for. So what I do about 2 days a week of strength training, and then I do yoga about 3 days a week as well to maintain my my range of motion.
Good point.
So I guess before we get into the whole range of motion and massage and all that good stuff, yoga for, I know you mentioned it for injury prevention, but I've also heard that it's good for bodily functions. For example, people that have gastrointestinal issues, autoimmune diseases like fibromyalgia. Does it aid or help with that, with those afflictions? Have you heard anything of that sort?
Oh yeah. When it comes to gastrointestinal issues, what the deep breathing exercises, being able to contract the diaphragm gives a subtle massage to those visceral organs, which can help them kind of cleanse themselves. And also they have the twisting motions where if you are prone to gas or constipation, it kind of helps keep things moving. For other issues, when it comes to stretching and increasing circulation, and a lot of the times these things can build up with inflammation. And so the increase in circulation kind of helps flush that out and helps your body go into that rest and digest and be able to clean the blood out and be able to provide fresh nutrients to your muscles when you need them.
So, changing gears a little bit, but still with stick with yoga, my wife got us booked goat yoga for us, and I've been seeing that a lot more often. So is there any real value to goat yoga besides adorable little goats jumping all over you while you're doing it? Probably distracting you from it, but yeah, is there any value to goat yoga?
I have not even heard of goat yoga.
Yeah,
that sounds easy.
Do a Google search for goat yoga, and you're going to see tons of videos of people practicing yoga with little goats jumping all over them. And it looks like the coolest thing ever, except like I don't know how you can actually like get your workout. But yeah, my wife booked us like tickets to do this in July or something. Yeah. There was actually a goat yoga thing that was supposed to happen in New York, but it got shut down because the Department of Health was like, yeah, you can't have goats in a commercial building.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. I feel like when I do yoga at home, that's probably somewhat what it's like with my 2 children and my 3 pets kind of jumping all over us. Yeah. But I think that's just a fun take on things, another way of making it more of a fun experience. This is another kind of tier of like what do you want to get out of it, you know? If you want it more for that relaxation purpose, then yeah, bring on the goats. Laughing is like the greatest form of just letting it go. I wouldn't think that having those distractions would be great if you want more of a meditative practice.
So now, I guess shifting a little bit, so with range of motion being such an important thing, I guess my first question is, I guess I have kind of 2 questions. One is, how does yoga help with range of motion? I think that's fairly straightforward. But then the other thing is, there's a difference kind of between flexibility and range of motion. If you can maybe explain the difference between kind of flexibility and range of motion, and why one may or may not be more important than the other, and I guess kind of how yoga helps with increasing both, or maybe developing both.
So when it comes to range of motion, your body is supposed to, your joints, your body's supposed to move around the joint, the particular joints to a certain degree. So with yoga, it's kind of retraining your body of, how far you're supposed to be able to move around certain joints. And it really helps you be able to find that degree. Once again, say if somebody has, they can't, bring their arm up to their side, you practice that, until you get it to the point where you need it. So that's great. Flexibility, yoga helps with that because a good intention with your practice is to be able to push it a little bit further, which is why that sometimes people may incorporate binds, and that's taking it past the appropriated range of motion, which is usually fine as long as you maintain a good amount of muscle tone as well, so that you're not overstretching the joints and the ligaments, because then you actually make yourself a little bit more prone to injury. So I think flexibility, that is more dependent on your specific intention, how far you want to go. With range of motion, you want to get to the certain recommended percentile range of how, say, your arm is supposed to move or your head is supposed to move from side to side and whatnot.
So I guess sometimes when we picture yoga, especially people that are doing it at a very high or advanced level, we tend to see people who are super, super flexible and can do just insane things with their bodies that normal person, it's not realistic. So my question is there such a thing as being too flexible or having too much range? And are those really, really advanced positions something that the layperson should strive towards, or is there something kind of more realistic or reasonable for somebody?
I do not believe that these crazy contortions are something that the layperson should strive for. I think it's more about the individual having that intention for their practice. But for the most part, I think the layperson does not need to go that far. It does, like I said, it can make you more prone to injury if you are overly flexible.
So, when it comes to range of motion, as a massage therapist, what are some of the problem areas, some of the biggest roadblocks you see in people, like for in specific parts of their body? And then, as a massage therapist, are you able to help range of motion?
Most of the time, I see limitations in the neck, people being able to turn their head or drop the ear towards their shoulder. It doesn't turn very much. Or in the chest, the pectoralis muscles will be shortened and they're kind of rounded forward, which will kind of overstretch the back, the rhomboid area, which will, in turn, in the end, give you a hump back if you let it go on for a bit too long. The lower back, about 80% of Americans suffer from lower back pain. I think we do a lot of being standing and walking or sitting. We don't do enough of turning and bending and whatnot. And in the hip area as well. That's where I find most of the limitations of range of motion. Massage therapy, of course, the manual muscle manipulation helps open up the fascia, which can be restricted after, holding it in the same place for too long, which is what's going to restrict that range of motion. So it helps bring circulation in there. And we also we'll often do stretches. We will do trigger point therapy and release adhesions, which happens when your muscles, when you're using them a lot, say our upper traps, we're always kind of lifting our arms to do something that builds a lot of heat while you're using the muscles, which can cause them to kind of stick on each other. So in the upper trap area, you also have levator scapula. You have a few muscles that attach there, and if you ever feel that huge knot, in the shoulder area, that's usually what it is. They're kind of sticking on each other. So massage therapists will use some some kneading and some friction in that area to kind of break that up and help them kind of unstick.
That's I guess that actually goes into my question of, does that mean that like stronger massages are better? Like will if you're stronger on someone's muscle, is that going to be beneficial for them? Is that going to hurt them? Or is it more of like the duration or like the point that you pick to fix it? Like, how does the strength of the masseur affect the person's range of motion or just feeling better in wherever they're feeling tight?
Generally, when you want to work on range of motion, you'll use deep tissue and trigger point work, and some appropriated stretches as well. There are some people who are just too sensitive, in which case you'll use mostly Swedish, lots of light strokes to bring in circulation and maybe some trigger point therapy and just pressing into the specific point that can be sensitive for 10 to 30 seconds, and then releasing, which will bring more oxygen into the area and help it open up again.
Okay, so then I guess for the person who's like, say they're like looking to pay for a massage and they really want to like, if they want a stronger massage, they should look for deep tissue. If they want a lighter massage, they should look for Swedish.
Yes.
Got it. Cool.
So I'm curious, with some of your clients, what have you noticed in how they've improved their range of motion or just their, how much pain they're in by having regular massage therapy sessions?
There are clients that I see on a weekly basis or maybe a monthly basis, depending on what they do for a living, and also what kinds of things they incorporate in their lifestyle in between sessions. So people who are constantly at a desk, even in between sessions, they may feel a bit better, but if they're still doing those same things over and over again, the progression of their recovery is going to be much slower. Whereas people who do incorporate some stretches in between sessions, they usually take more time in between sessions because they can work on increasing their range of motion on their own as well.
Have you noticed a big shift in any particular client? Does one come to mind that was maybe just very tight and improved drastically over time?
I have one client that he used to do he used to be a stunt double. So when he came to me, he could barely lift his shoulder in front of him more than 10%. So the first time I worked on him, we did quite a bit of deep tissue, not too much because his body is not used to that. So when it comes to deep tissue, you can feel somewhat sore afterwards, almost like a good workout kind of sore. But you don't want them to be too sore to the point where, they still can't really move around. So we did some lighter work. And then about a month later, I went in a little bit deeper and worked more muscles around the area. So the first part, I worked more in the upper trap area. And then the second time around, I worked all around the upper trap, middle trap, and then also a bit in the rotator cuffs. So his range of motion just in those 2 sessions increased dramatically. And then I also gave him stretches to do in between. And I've been in contact with him since, and I'm going to see him again next week. But he says that the pain has significantly decreased, and he's been able to work and do all the things that he wants without much discomfort lately. Whereas before, if he was a tattoo artist, so he keeps his arm in a certain position for hours on end sometimes, and after about an hour, he would be in serious pain. So now he can perform his work fairly comfortably, and that's through 2 sessions.
So as a trainer, I tend to deal with more performance-based and strength-based, but obviously we have people that come in, just the nature of our everyday life. There are different compensation patterns and imbalances. And so a lot of times, even if the training itself is geared towards, correcting things, if they're not reinforcing it, they just kind of revert back to their old habits pretty quickly. So I guess when you're dealing with a client, especially long term, how important is it for you to kind of identify like the root cause of some, let's say there's pectoralis like tightness. How important is it that you identify like the root cause of that versus just kind of treating the injury, or is it something where you just kind of deal with the problem and that's it, or how do you work with that as far as like kind of correcting things over time?
I think the first thing you should do is try to identify the root cause of it, because you can't really fully recover unless you understand where it's coming from and be able to adjust accordingly in between.
Crystal, did we lose you? You still there?
I'm sorry, my daughter is knocking on my door. Okay. So especially with the cause of when it comes to those pectoralis tightenings, a lot of the times you can do all the opening that you want, but they, of course, will get back to their desk, or they'll go back to only training chest and not training the back in between the shoulder blades as well. And so you're never really going to get it back to where it's properly supposed to be unless you address the cause along with finding ways to work around and not continue with that compensation pattern.
How difficult do you find it for people to do whatever exercises and stretches and things that they need to do to kind of reinforce the benefits of the massage? Like, do you find you have a hard time getting people to keep up, especially like your regular clients, or do they tend to be motivated to kind of correct whatever the issue is?
For the most part, they tend to be pretty motivated. Yeah. There are some that are just, no, I just want you to, maintain me every week. I'm not really going to do anything. But for the most part, they do want to help themselves as well. Most of the time, I will give them stretches to do for homework, or recommend certain exercises that they should do to strengthen opposing muscles and help kind of nip that compensation pattern.
So now, obviously, sports massage has been something that's gone on for a long time. I think it's a big, athletes are regularly getting massages. And then recently we hear about athletes doing yoga. So maybe if you could talk a little bit about both. I guess first, how can massage help athletes? And is sports massage any different from, any other massage? And then the second thing is the same thing, like, do you see more people using yoga also for performance-based benefits for sports? And how does that also help with performance?
So when it comes to the sports massage usually incorporates a combination of trigger point work and active release techniques and assisted stretches and whatnot to help bring back the range of motion. And yoga, if you're doing it properly, I feel you really learn how to move your body. Because when you're training, when you do something like weight training or even interval training, you're doing a lot of repetitive motions and strengthening targeted muscles. But with yoga, you are more focused on creating that synergy between antagonist and protagonist muscles, and learning how to use your body in the most variety with the most variety that it can.
Now, I don't know. I guess I kind of know this answer, but I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Like, Would it be bad if a non-professional massages you? Like, for example, when my boyfriend massages me, it's something that I enjoy, but is that, like, should I not take the place of me going for a professional massage? Like, how would you...
It would not take the place. No, I mean, it's nice. It's comforting. But massage therapists, we go through extensive training and learning in anatomy and physiology and kinesiology. So it's nowhere near where a professional massage would take you.
Do you think someone who's non-professional could actually injure someone?
Yes.
Okay. So is there something that someone should look for, like, when they go to pay for a massage? Like, is there, like, a symbol, or, like, how do you know if someone, or license, like, how do you know if someone's actually certified? Because there's plenty, I feel like, of, like, I know there's places in New York City that for, like, $20 you can get an hour massage, and it's like, you kind of question it, but it's $20, so you'll take it. But...
in New York State,
I don't know what type of massages you're going for, Tony, but...
I definitely set myself up for that one.
So, in New York State, it is a license. We are licensed healthcare practitioners. So, if you go onto the licensing site, New York State licensing website, you can look up the practitioner's name and find their license number, or they may have it displayed in their location. So, and generally, I think those $20 massage places, usually if they're labeled body work, that's like a kind of code for maybe not so legit.
Yeah.
Nice. So you learn something new every day.
I was asking for my listeners, not for me.
So, one issue that so many people, Americans, and really people all over the world, especially if you're at a desk or driving a lot, just in general, right, out of laziness and inactivity, one issue that people have that I'm sure can lead to a myriad of injuries and discomforts is posture. So I know I don't have the best posture. I know for certainly Ryan doesn't. No, I'm just kidding. Ryan has good posture.
There's actually research that says this is the right best way to sit, is to sit slouching.
Nice.
And then there's research that says sitting upright is, and there's research that says leaning forward.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of research on posture. But from your experience, what are the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to posture? How they sit, how they stand, how they walk, all that sort of stuff.
So I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is how they hold their head. A lot of the time people kind of bring their chin up a bit. There's this kind of ingrained idea in humans that we need to constantly be searching for the horizon. But a lot of the times we really should have our chin tucked in just a bit so that our vision is straight ahead of us, and it lengthens the vertebrae in the back of the neck. A lot of times people kind of look up just a bit, and that really starts compressing that cervical vertebra in the back of the neck. I think also a lot of the times, people are slouching, everything's hunched forward, and that will shorten the pegs. That will cause tightness in even in your hip flexor, because your whole body is kind of like your torso is coming closer to your thighs there, which will cause some lower back pain there as well. And also, when we're sitting or when we're standing, our hips are not completing their full range of motion. It's a ball and socket joint, so we really should have some of the greatest range of motion in that hip area, where the femur, the thigh bone, goes into the hip. And so that's probably the area that people don't stretch the least, So a lot of the times that tightness in the back of the hips can cause a lot of lower back pain and even some leg pain as well.
I mean, that explains, like, when everyone's so sedentary, if they're sitting at a computer, their head's looking, like you said, like, on the horizon, they're constantly sitting at a desk, they're not moving their hips or, so that's probably why, I mean, there's so much imbalance with people. They're mostly sitting and their head, just from their daily activities, they have no choice, but they're looking straight ahead, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
So, Crystal, I know that there are a bunch of exercises, sort of simple stretches, little exercises that we can do. They don't take much time, but they can help immensely, with maybe stretching the neck and shoulders and just little things. So I'm wondering if we can ask you to make a couple videos and that we could post them for our listeners to view. Maybe you could explain what they're what these little exercises accomplish.
Yeah, I would love to. I'm trying to schedule out a day sometime next week to get those up. But if anyone wanted to email me what exercises, stretches, whatnot, for whatever parts of the bodies that they would like to see, I can start with that. A lot of the times, I know neck and shoulders and chest can be really helpful, and lower back. But if there's anything else that anyone comes up with, if it's you guys or even your listeners, my email is crystals, CRYSTALS, bodymind@gmail.com. And just email me any questions or suggestions and whatnot of videos that you'd like to see, and I'll get those together and have them to you next week.
Awesome. Yeah, and for our listeners, next week will be whenever this posts, it'll all be together. So we don't, it always takes a little while before we post an interview. Now, where else? So that's your email, which we'll post. Now, do you have a website as well?
I have a booking site if anybody would like to book a treatment with me, and it's just crystalseaman.simplybook.me.
Nice. Now, are you able to do online massage therapy treatments?
Did we post our online thing yet? No. That would have been a good time.
We haven't figured that one out yet. With all our technology, we still can't do that, right?
Actually, sometimes I'll apologize to clients because I have, at some point they need to turn over, and I'm sorry we haven't developed the technology to flip you just yet.
Well, they have like they're like what doctors that do certain surgeries where like there's a tiny thing that can mimic the hand movement. So theoretically, you just develop some kind of device that is the hand, and then tie it to your hand, and then you could do online massage therapy.
Oh, maybe you could.
Well, no,
you could just spend the amount that it would cost to create that. We could just fly you in and have you be a personal, massage therapist.
We create the device, and then.
Oh yeah, we'll create that. We're master engineers here.
I can 3D print the hands.
Well, I was just going to – this made me think of a question, but then we kind of already answered it because I think it goes back to, it's obviously not a professional. But, what about, the chair massages that you sit in or you can purchase, or, the handheld things you can put, on your body? What do you think about those?
I love those things.
Okay.
I have to say they're not going to give you the same effect that a professional massage therapist will, but it may be a nice relief in between sessions as well.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
And just if anyone's wondering, the GymWits are located in the New York area, and so is Crystal. So if you live in the New York area, New York City, that is, and if you are coming in for a trip, vacation, whatever it is, and you're looking to have an incredible massage, please contact Crystal. You will leave there feeling awesome, and at least for the next day or a couple days or however long it is, you'll feel like you're all loose, and then you want to go back to her again. So
I also do private yoga sessions if anyone's interested.
Private?
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot of girlfriends, and I'm sure for their like bridal shower, bachelor party types of things. Instead, we don't do the traditional like partying. We would love a yoga session. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we can
know.
totally do that.
Yeah, awesome.
One more question. I know that we keep on. We'll let you go because I know that you're busy. But the prenatal massages, all that sort of stuff. What do you think about that?
Oh, I love prenatal massage. I'm actually certified in prenatal massage as well.
Nice. What are you not certified in?
That's a very good question, and I'll look that up. I'll go through my folder of certificates here and find out. But no, prenatal massage is great. Your body goes through so many changes, and you develop so many compensation patterns throughout pregnancy, from this increased weight and, wherever it may be pressing, if the child is pressing on more on one side or on the other, it can provide such great relief. I honestly, when I was pregnant with my children, I was actually in massage school. And I feel like I benefited so much from the amount of practice that we had to do on each other and the amount of massage that I received. It is wonderful.
I think I want to go to massage school just so I can get massaged every day. Like, I know I have to return the favor, but I feel like if I was getting massaged every day, I wouldn't mind. It's like
Actually, I think that's what I love about taking on-site continuing education courses, is because we're always working on each other.
That's awesome.
So I guess I have one other question, it's somewhat related, is over the last, I'd say 10, 15 years, kind of myofascial release therapy has become very popular, especially among trainers. You got trainers carrying the sticks and the foam rollers and everything. And I've read varying things about, the effectiveness of it. As a trainer, is that something that you recommend to your clients and use, or is it something you stay away from? Like, what are kind of your thoughts on that? Both, I guess, for, let's say, giving a client, but also for a trainer to actually manually try to, release the adhesions with the clients.
I'm not sure, as a trainer, if it is within your scope of practice to perform that type of manual manipulation. I do find that it is quite beneficial, and when I work on athletes, I do use it a lot. The fascia, the connective tissue surrounding the muscles and the organs and pretty much everything in your body. When it becomes constricted, that will really constrict your range of motion as well, and it'll affect your ability to gain muscle as well, because if you're not going through that full range of motion, you're not activating all of the filaments, all of the musculature that you need, and not all of the musculature will get stimulated to grow. So like one of my coworkers had said to me a couple of months ago, when she found that I wasn't foam rolling in between my weightlifting, and she said, you have to give your muscles room to grow. So myofascial is definitely quite beneficial when it comes to any kind of athletic activity.
Yeah, I just recently started using the foam roller, and I have noticed a huge recovery in being able to get back to workouts, not feeling as sore. And
right.
You can feel a huge difference. It really is amazing. But what you said earlier about like personal trainers or whoever be like going out of their scope and doing it, I had like a free session with someone because I did whatever. I had a free session, and that's how we started and ended. And I really was like bruised the next day. Like I almost felt like that wasn't appropriate at all. And I completely agree with you. Like I would, if anyone if their personal trainer does that on them, like make sure they know what they're doing, because when I foam roll, I don't feel bruised the next day. I'm not in pain. Like I felt like the workout, it wasn't what made me sore. It was the foam rolling that they did on me that did.
Right.
So I think that's a great point that people need to be aware of, that it might not be in their scope.
Are not supposed to bruise.
Yeah, that was not okay. I should probably report him.
Right. I mean, as like having been a personal trainer before, I would perform, and I would definitely let other trainers know. I am also a licensed massage therapist, and that is why I am allowed to do this.
Exactly.
Well, all right. So I have one last question for you, Crystal. How many tattoos do you have?
Oh, I think I lost count. We'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 10.
10. Well, Ryan, how many do you have?
5.
So Ryan has
Really?
5.
You don't see any of that.
Yeah, one. You know, Ryan's big.
Do you have any?
I don't have any. I don't have any tattoos. You don't have, right?
I had a henna once. I actually loved it, but I didn't get
Nice.
it.
All right, Crystal. Well, thank you so much for coming on the GymWits. You are awesome, and I hope that our listeners out there in the New York State, New York City area will contact you. They will get a lot out of it if they do.
I'm gonna come.
And,
I am. I love massages. I'm a sucker for massages. So I'll
Me
schedule
too.
that appointment.
Awesome. So yeah, Crystal. Well, have a wonderful day, and we will certainly be talking with you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
So has this inspired you to do any extra stretching?
Oh,
Flexibility, range of
definitely.
motion work?
I've known for a long time that I have not been taking care of myself as it comes to my flexibility, stretching, those types of things. I'm definitely not as flexible as I was, and not serious, but I do have neck pain, shoulder pain, back pain, as most people do, especially if you're active. So I'm going to do some of those stretches that Crystal recommended, and she gave us a few videos that Ryan will include. I encourage everyone to check them out, especially if you're having issues with your back or shoulder, neck, anything like that. And hopefully they'll help. What about you? Do you stretch enough, Ryan?
No. And it was funny. I should have opened with this, but we did. If you follow the Instagram, you'd see that I did goat yoga.
Yes.
I don't do
nice.
yoga. To which my stepdaughter, who's white, said, "That's the whitest thing you've ever done."
Yeah, she didn't know Ryan back in high school, so. It's like,
Oh, that's amazing.
And actually, 2 of my friends at my gym also said the same thing.
Nice.
But goat yoga's fun.
That is,
Who
yeah, that is
wouldn't want to
pretty white. Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to do yoga with goats?
That's amazing.
Yeah, we should do this in Long Island. Like we should do a GymWits goat
It
yoga
is?
thing. Yeah, in Smithtown.
Oh my god, I was just
Yeah,
in
they do it
Smithtown.
at the Smithtown Historical Society.
I literally was just over there for a while.
Does that make for a good video? We should all do some goat
Oh my
yoga
gosh,
and
can
record
we do
a
it?
GymWits video.
Do you feel bad about eating goat meat after doing yoga with the goats?
I mean, it's kind of like I felt I
We've
was
gone back to
around
this
the wild
debate, but
hogs
yeah,
and I
yeah,
felt
yeah.
bad about eating pork. I think I realized that
They're so cute.
in 100 years when we're able to make meat in a vat, that we will realize how horrible what we're doing is, but I choose to ignore it for now. But I do feel I do eat less. I'm eating slightly less meat. I'd like to get to the point where I'm doing like a meatless Monday. Maybe 2 or 3 days where I'm not eating meat, but I'm not there yet. But I'm trying.
I have a question, guys.
Yeah.
This is really random, but when am I going to be on the logo?
Oh yeah.
Oh
that's a
yeah,
good
yeah, yeah.
question.
Very soon. We're in the process of redoing that logo.
Yeah. Well, it's my fault. I've got to find the guy who did it, or get a new person to do it.
Yeah,
It's
about
something
time.
that is on the
It's
list.
something
of,
that's actually
the
bothered
list
me
of
for a
many
while.
things that I need to get done. That
I'm
is
just gonna
there.
Be the happiest, I'm literally going to be the happiest person ever.
Yeah, no, you deserve it.
It's in the works. Definitely, we're gonna get that. We're gonna get that for you, and for us, because we've been talking about it for a while. It's just one of those more about me being, it's like one good thing potentially about having all this. Well, what may be happening in September, I'll actually have a lot of time to take care of things that I don't like to. Like another thing I'd like to do actually is get a real Facebook group started, like not like a Facebook page, but an actual like interactive like group. But just realizing the work that goes into getting it started, and there even things related to the podcast. I'm trying to get. We have some animated stuff, kind of animated stop motion stuff that we're working on that you guys saw. Yeah, so we got stuff in the pipeline, including new logos, videos, all kinds of stuff that
I'm gonna have the time soon.
We will.
It's gonna work.
I will
We'll
say,
definitely get to that.
if people, I have a support group on Facebook if people want to join. It's a free group, healthy lifestyle support group with Tony.
Nice.
It's linked to my Tips with Tony page.
Yeah, if you and send us a link, we'll make sure to link it. We can link it in the show notes as well.
Okay, yeah, if you guys want to do that. And
Cool.
then I'll just encourage Justin and Ryan to like make appearances in the group.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's like I want to get a GymWits group up, and
Yeah.
get definitely get a community going.
People would love that.
My wife's been on me about that for a long time, and it's like more about the time, knowing that you need to moderate something like that and really be involved to make it work.
Yeah, I do.
but-
I'm trying to post every day. It's a
Yeah,
lot.
it is. No, absolutely. It's definitely hard work, but it's worth it, and definitely down the road, pays off down the road.
For sure.
So cool. All right. Well, that is it. All of our stuff you can